Most people understand the importance of creating a will. However, one of the biggest mistakes people tend to make is not keeping it updated. Let's talk about that. As my wife and I are real estate agents in the greater metro Atlanta area doing a lot of work with probate properties, we come across a lot of stories. And today I want to share one of those stories with you, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the moral of the story right up front. That moral is keep your will updated. Now, first, let's talk about what makes a valid will, at least in the state of Georgia. In general, Georgia does not recognize what we call holographic wills. That means a will that is handwritten. Therefore, even if someone has a valid notarized witnessed will, they need to go through that same process that they went through to make the will in order to make any changes. Most likely it would be with an attorney, perhaps the one that drafted the original, but it doesn't have to be, and they will create what we call a codicil. A codicil is essentially an amendment to the will that's used to make any and all changes. As here in Georgia, wills still go through the probate process, so it is really important that any updates you make still make your will valid. Let's jump into that story on what happened when someone failed to keep their will up to date. So, the testator, the person that made the will in our story, died well over a year ago. She had named two executors in her will, and wouldn't you know it, both of them died before she did. She didn't make any change, so her will was basically without an executor. She had no close relatives, but she was fairly close with her son in law, so he stepped in, made the funeral arrangements, had her buried with his father, and was going to go ahead and take care of her estate. So he hired an attorney. They petitioned the court to make him an executor. He doesn't think it's going to be a big deal because she didn't have any close relatives, and everything she has, she was giving it to her favorite charity. Right after this, one distant cousin came from out of the woodwork out of state and was wanting a family heirloom. They had an item that was brought to the country from a mutual great grandparent from Europe. Now, of course, according to the will, that clock was to be sold with the proceeds going to the charity. So the cousin decides they're going to contest the son in law being the executor. Now, they don't want to do it. They just don't want him to do it because he didn't simply give them the heirloom. To make a very, very long story short, things got ugly. The cousin even went so far as to find a person with the same name as the son in law that had a criminal record in order to defame his character. Court hearings ensued, and it took well over a year to finally iron out everything to where the son in law would be able to be the executor. Ultimately, this caused the charity tens of thousands of dollars. Again, the moral of the story is keep your will updated. If they just kept the will updated, they could have saved a lot of time, a lot of heartache, and definitely a lot of money. If you need to change anything on your will, especially if it's something like an executor or a major part, please seek professional assistance and have a codicil drafted. Now, I really hope this story brought home the importance of not just making your will, which incidentally, if you don't have one, please go get one, but keeping that will up to date, and will cause those of you that it's maybe been a few years since you've done it to think, hey, has anything changed? Do I need to make any changes? Because if you do, you want to make sure that you do it in a valid manner. Now, if you or someone you know is struggling with real estate in the probate process, feel free to give us a call or reach out. We have a network of professionals nationwide that we can get you in touch with to help you navigate that process. So until next time, bye.
Are you digging the kind of content I'm producing? Then be sure to watch this next video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way, you'll be in the know when I release my next video.